Welcome to the Sunny and Schar pod. It's just a quick fantasy episode this week. Me and CJ. Butler's gone into hiding after I absolutely hammered him this week for fantasy head-to-head. In this episode, we're going to talk about the form of Erling Haaland, out of form Erling Haaland, and is it really an option to sell him? We're also going to be looking at building the best midfield five for the upcoming fixtures, especially if you're looking to wildcard imminently or in the next few weeks. Over to you, CJ. How are you doing?
Good, mate. To be fair, fantasy in terms of points this week was decent, but I got stitched in my head-to-head. You can't even write it. Like, trying to be clever again, backfired. I'm sure we'll go into it more on Friday as I was one of the key battles, but ended up losing with like the third highest points in the league or something stupid like that. Like, some of the points in the league this week were a disgrace. I look at mine and I've lost my head-to-head, but you did pretty well there, didn't you, against Butler?
I did okay, yeah. I played the bench boost because I thought he might play wildcard or triple captain. He went for the triple captain. Luckily for me, Ep22 blanked. I only got like 8 points from the bench boost, but yeah, it was enough to deliver the win. So yeah, it was a bit of a brutal week this week, wasn't it? In terms of scores, I think we're gonna come onto it now, but there were not many hauls. Really, not many.
Not
people
at all.
over.
Not at all. It was this a really strange game week with a really low average. I think the average was about 40 or 41 points, but only 7 players registered 10 plus points this game week, which is the lowest number of players to hit double digits in a game week this season. And actually, 3 of those were keepers. So we had Sells with 10 and Pickford with 10. And then Sanchez, who I've actually got, had an absolute worldie against Brentford. I think he made like 6 saves or something, 6 or 7 saves with 11 points. But then we obviously had Dorgu with his 15-point haul. So he rewarded his owners who sort of bought him in after that 17-point haul he had. They had to be patient, but it came good. Then we had Bruno and Wirtz with 10 points each. I bought Bruno in, really happy with that. He could have had about 40 points, even in that first half, which was ridiculous. Ridiculous. I was watching that because I was playing Mike and he didn't have Bruno. And I was like, right. When he scored, disallowed. Maguire missed that header. But what do you think, just before we get into that, talking about Haaland, have you still got Wirtz?
No, I had him for a few weeks and then I got rid just before the wild card. But he does seem like a good shout at the moment, doesn't he?
He's looking a lot better, isn't he?
I'm not sure about Liverpool, like drawing at home to Burnley. But Wirtz seems to be the only consistent performer at the moment. And there's a certain Phil Foden who has blanked for several weeks in a row, and I think he broke his hand. And I also believe that City got smashed in the Champions League tonight. So we'll come on to City and Haaland City assets. But yeah, Wirtz is looking like a decent, like you think about all the premium midfielders like Saka, Palmer, Salah, obviously not performing. So you're looking in that like 7 to 9 million range. Bruno Fernandes being one, Bruno being another good option, and then Wirtz is up there, isn't he? Along with Rice.
I'm just looking at his. Yeah, I'm just looking at his stats now. He's 8.3 mil. He's actually gone up to just over 12% owned, but he's actually got three 10-point hauls in his last 5 game weeks. And his XG is going up a lot. It's funny though, but he can have the odd game, like the Arsenal game. His XG was 0.00. Do you know what I mean?
It was a terrible, dire game.
It was a shocking game. But he's got, he has in his last 6 game weeks, he's got 3 goals and an assist. So his numbers are starting to improve. Like you said, not sure about if they're at the stage where you bring him in, but he's definitely one to keep an eye on, I think, especially if you are wildcarding or looking to do, which we'll get into a bit later. But let's talk about Haaland, shall we? What to do with an out-of-form Haaland? Before we have a little chat, I just dug up some stats on Haaland, which I think for FPL earners, which is pretty much, what is he owned? 75% or something silly? Let me just see. He's 75% owned pretty much. So he's now blanked in 4 of his last 5 game weeks. He recorded his equal lowest XG, which is expected goals of the season against United on Saturday afternoon, of 0.13. Only had 2 shots in the game. And his actual average XG across the last 6 games is only 0.51. And in 4 out of those 5 games, it's been below 0.5. So for a striker who is who was in such amazing form, like an XG below 0.5 is not what you want. He has had 19 shots across the last 5 game weeks, however, but he had 8 of those in the game against Brighton in the game week 21. As we know, Pep has openly said that Haaland is exhausted and he's looking forward at having Marmoush back to share some of his workload. But what does that then mean for Haaland's minutes? Are they going to be managed a little more in the Prem with the Champions League reaching an important point? It's very hard to know, but in terms of fixtures, they've got Wolves at home next, so you can't take him out before that fixture.
Although Wolves are improving.
They are improving, yeah. They are
unbeaten in 2026, but yeah, you can't take Haaland out for a whole. In fact, like, would you even go triple captain against Wolves? They're still bottom of the league.
It.
Still 1 week.
That is it. Season. I think you would. I think people would potentially been targeting this fixture. Like realistically, they have had 1 Champions League game. The Christmas runs sort of come out now. They're out of that, but I'm not sure. Like he looked a bit of a shell against United. I know United were at it, to be fair to them, at Old Trafford, but he looked an absolute shadow of what he's been like the last. Well, sort of. But he scored 1 goal. Yeah, 1 in his last 5.
I think it was a pen as well.
Yeah, and then he had 2 against West Ham in 17 and 2 against Palace in 16. But apart from that, it's very, very bleak for someone who is, what is he now? 15.1 million. Like, it's really, really hard. And just looking at fixtures again, obviously we said he's got Wolves next, but he's got Fulham at home in game week 26, Leeds away in game week 28, and then Forest at home game week 29, and West Ham away game week 30. So just looking at those, like, I don't want to get rid of him.
No.
Is there an option too? What do you think, mate? I know you're very much Haaland, captain him, keep him in, but what do you honestly think about his recent form?
I don't know. It's what really confuses me that Pep has openly said he's exhausted, right? Which I totally get. But then why are you giving him 45 minutes against Exeter City, I think it was, a couple of weeks back when they won 10-1? Like, surely just play an academy striker. You don't need the world's best striker against Exeter City in the FA Cup. They won 10-1. I don't think even Haaland scored. And then again,
no, he didn't.
They played Bodo tonight in the Champions League. I'm pretty sure Haaland started that too. Do they really have no other option than Marmoush? Like, when is Marmoush back? And I suppose that's the double-edged sword, isn't it? Because Haaland clearly needs a rest. He's got a very tasty fixture against Wolves, in which I'm tempted to triple cap, because none of those others really jump out at me as, guaranteed hauls. More than Wolves. So it's like, do you play the triple captainship this weekend? But then he might be on the bench. But then Pep has been saying he needs a rest, but doesn't give him one. So it's crazy to me that City only have really 2 viable strikers in Marmoush and Haaland, considering all the business they've done.
Yeah, madness. But he played 90 again tonight. Like, it's crazy.
Something's going on with City, aren't they? Because like their defense is really suffering.
Shambles.
They got Gahey coming in, but it's just like they're completely off kilter at the moment. So you wouldn't really back them in the form they're in to absolutely smash Wolves. But then again, I could be eating my words by this time next week, because it's Wolves at home. They've won 1 all season. You could triple captain. So obviously I'm going to keep him, set and forget captain. But in terms of other City assets, like Foden in particular, I think looking to sell, I think.
Yeah, like even Cherky. Like, I know Cherky was one. If you got on him for those couple of weeks, it was great. But Marmoush came back on tonight. I do think he's going to be used a lot more. He could potentially be one to look at. But like you said, that defence. I looked at that defence against United and I thought, if United do not win this derby, it's one of the biggest chances they're going to have. Because they lined up I don't know who it was. Who was at the back? It was Kusanov and that young Elaine lad, wasn't it?
Yeah, Alien or
And
something.
I just saw them. Like, I just thought, what is going on? I know they've got
Yeah,
lots of injuries, and like to be fair, Donnarumma was a joke again against United. It could have been 5 or 6 if it wasn't for
yeah,
him. Like, I think if you're going to get anyone in the defence, it has to be Donnarumma. But yeah, Haaland, you can't get rid of him because he's 75% owned. But what I do like, and what people have been doing recently and been rewarded, is going against him with the captaincy.
yeah,
It's been really.
yeah.
I know this week was a little bit. I think the only one that sort of came through would have been Bruno or Wirtz. I saw a couple of people captaining Wirtz, but I know a couple of people captain Bruno Guimaraes and stuff. I
Mm.
think it's definitely an option to look at him. I just always shit my pants when I'm doing it, and I should have
Yeah,
probably done it this
same.
week.
Same. I mean, he's no longer guaranteed captain for me, at least, with the form that
Yeah,
they're in. After Wolves, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think after Wolves, it's all up for grabs. It's not really a set and forget in terms of captain at all, really, in terms of City.
no, it's tough. And today, I turned it on and they were 2-0 down. Rodri getting sent off. I don't know what he was sent off for, but he was booked
Mm.
twice in the space of a minute. So I don't know if it was dissent. I'll have to watch the highlights. But something like you said, something is not right at City at the moment. I don't know what it is. It's a very tough place to go, Bodo Glimt, on a AstroTurf pitch. But
Mm.
let's be honest, I know Spurs struggled as well out there. I think a lot of
Mm.
teams do struggle because it is Baltic as well. But Man City, yeah, I'm
I
just
think they
not
were
sure.
playing
But I
eight
think
Nori at right back as well, I saw.
were they?
Which just speaks to their injuries at the moment, especially in defence. I mean, hopefully Gay will come in and shore that up.
Yeah, Gay will be good. Gay will be good. But no, Haaland. I'd like to know. I'd love to know what people think on Haaland. Like, I
Yeah.
know we haven't had many people sort of comment or under the YouTube or the Spotify or the Insta, but please let us know because we'll be really interested. I know pretty much everyone's got him, like 75%. But if you're going without him or thinking about it, I know Butler was mentioning it in one of his rants to us the other day.
I mean, to be fair, 15 million, you could spend that really well elsewhere and come up with some really good differentials. It's just really high risk move, isn't it, at this moment in time?
Hugely high risk. It would allow you, because the thing is that who do you actually replace him with striker wise? There's hardly anyone in
No,
form, but it would allow you to
exactly.
pack out the midfield to have
Yeah.
an unbelievable midfield if you wanted
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
that leads us nicely onto midfielders. So
Hmm.
we're gonna just have a little chat here to end this little ep on building the best midfield for the next 5 or so game weeks. So me and you have both wildcarded, Ben.
Hmm.
I just want, could you just take the viewers through your midfield currently and those
Sure.
decisions? Then we'll look at a few of the ones. We'll look at mine, and then I've got a few more we can speak about. But who did you go for in the end?
So my midfield, if I'm pretty happy with the balance at the moment. I've got Morgan Rogers, Bruno Guimaraes, Phil Foden, Declan Rice, and Enzo Fernandez. So pretty stacked. I don't have what a lot of people have done is like gone for a budget fifth midfielder. So that's your Harry Wilson or someone like that. I don't have that. I've got 5 starters at the moment. Obviously, Chelsea
Yeah,
have got really good fixtures. Enzo's a good pick. That was what I thought. That was my reasoning. He got a cheeky little assist this weekend, which I didn't
yeah,
actually see.
so
But
classic,
you said it was
so
a block
bad.
or something.
Yeah, he just blocked a clearance assist.
Mate, they all count. Declan Rice, obviously, because he's more. I think he's turning more than Saka. Phil Foden had that purple patch, although he's blanked, so he's at risk for going out. Bruno Guimaraes is one of the top scoring midfielders in fantasy this season, and everything good that Newcastle do comes through him. And then obviously Morgan Rogers and Aston Villa have been flying, although they look maybe a bit knackered now. So I'd say out of those two, Foden and Rogers are sort of like the two I might. So if I downgrade a striker, for example, to like a cheap bench option, I've got then money to upgrade my midfield. So I'm definitely keen on sort of like tinkering a bit over the next few weeks. Because like I say, Foden and Rogers, I think look a little bit at risk in terms of minutes and points.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I'll just go through mine and we'll talk about some of those names you mentioned. I think, unfortunately, it's getting to the stage, is it, in FPL where a lot of teams are having the same template, particularly with
Mm-hmm.
like my midfield is Rice, Bruno Guimaraes, Rodgers.
Mm.
Then I've got Wilson and Bruno Fernandes.
Mm-hmm.
So I was debating before I probably should have bought Palmer in this week, but we'll go on to Palmer a bit later. But my plan is to bring Palmer in for game week 24 when they have that amazing run. But because I bought Wilson in, bought him out, and I put him back in. Like I do really like him. We'll actually start with him on my little roundup. But he's actually 22.3% owned. He's now 5.9 mil. That's the only downside now. If you're getting him in now, he's not really a budget midfielder like he was.
No.
He's now in that upper echelon of the budget. Now he's reaching sort of 6 mil sort of price range, but he's still in excellent form. 2 goals in his last 3. He actually had his XG of 0.63 against Chelsea. And if you can afford him, he's a great fifth midfielder, especially if you're looking to play 3-5-2. And his expected goal involvements are also very impressive. So he's averaged 0.5 in expected goal involvements over the last 5 games, and actually had an expected goal involvements of 1.39 earlier this year against Burnley in game week 16, where he got that 16-point haul. He's, like you said, Ben, I think he's good to keep in at the moment, but like if you have the cash like you do, upgrading him to like an Enzo is a no-brainer, I think. If you haven't got the money and you're looking for someone slightly cheaper, Wilson's a great option. But if you've got an extra 6.6 mil or 0.7 mil to get Enzo or someone like that, I'd be jumping on Enzo. But yeah, what do you think about Wilson? I know you sort of spoke about him already there.
I feel like I've missed the boat with him. Like you say, he's 5.9 mil now, which is no longer a budget midfielder. His form is amazing. His underlying stats are really positive. I just feel like I've missed the boat. I feel like he's one of those where if I put him in now, he'll stop hauling. So I'm just gonna avoid him for now and just let everyone else enjoy him. Because I've got other issues. To sort out.
Absolutely. We'll just go briefly, just talk about all the midfielders I just mentioned there, and then I'll talk about a couple of sort of left field ones towards the end, and then we'll finish talking about Cole Palmer. But firstly, Bruno Fernandes. So Bruno came back with a bang since returning from injury with 17 points in his last 2 games, with a 10-point haul against City at the weekend. So he picked up another assist and reached the DEFCON threshold again, and should have got over 20 points realistically in the game. He should have scored himself, had another assist. Maguire hit the bar off his corner, had a goal disallowed. But I think he's an amazing shout. 16.3%. I'm sure that'll go up. And
it's still not that high, is it?
It's not high. He's almost like a bit of a differential. Like I went up I got 51 points this week, and I think I had Bruno. But after the Saturday games, I think I'd gone up almost like 500,000. Do you know what I mean? I think I had Bruno and I had Sanchez, and like two sort of differentials that sort of took me up. But I'm sure that'll go up. But I just think his route to points are just unbelievable. Like he literally can get points from anywhere. What do you think?
I've got to get him in. It's a question of when. It's a question of when, not if. Because he's got Arsenal up next, hasn't he? Arsenal away. I don't think it's going to be an easy game. And then after that, it looks a bit more favourable. So I'm thinking Foden to Fernandes. And I'm going to have to downgrade a striker to afford Fernandes. The jump from Foden to Fernandes, I think it's like just under a mil, something like that. So I'm definitely going to rejig, definitely going to get Fernandes in at some point. It's just a question of when. Because I think, I called it a couple of weeks ago on the pod, I think with Carrick, Manchester are going to have a bounce, and then they're going to regress again, and they'll probably get a new manager in the summer. So I think they will have a new manager bounce. And the other good thing about Manchester United at the moment is they only play once a week, whereas a lot of other clubs around them,
absolutely,
like City, look exhausted. City are playing 3 times a week. Arsenal are looking knackered as well. They had that draw against Forest, didn't they? And Saka started on the bench. So Fernandes is primed to be, the leading midfielder, I think, over the next few weeks after this Arsenal fixture. I mean, Fernandes is one of those players where you kind of ignore the form because, like you say, ignore the fixtures because he's a form player and so many different routes to points, like you say.
Definitely. I think you're so right when you say about ignoring the fixtures. Because I think Bruno's definitely in that kilter with no cup. Literally, they got no cup competitions, have they? Out the FA Cup, no European football, out the League Cup. They've literally just got the league, so that's a huge positive. And that's, I think, the same with Morgan Rogers. I know I've just put here, so he's 32% owned now, 7.7 mil. His point scoring has taken a slight dip in the last 5 weeks, with him only registering 12 FPL points. However, his form on the pitch is definitely still consistent. So he's amassed an XG of 0.82 in Villa's home defeat to Everton on Sunday, with 6 shots from midfield himself. And actually, if you watched it, Pickford pulled off an absolute worldie to stop one of those. But tricky upcoming fixtures: Newcastle away next, then Bournemouth away in 25, but then they have Leeds at home, Wolves away in game week 28 and 29. And like you said about Fernandes, Rodgers, I think you get him in. It doesn't matter about the fixtures. He's one of the most informed midfielders, I think. And I know you were talking about potentially tinkering a little bit with Rodgers, but I honestly think Rodgers is a set and forget.
Do you
once
reckon?
He's in.
I think Villa, I don't know. It's a bit of a turning point for Villa because basically they've been overperforming, haven't they? They were third in the table. People talking about title race. They've had an amazing sort of little run of 11, 12 straight victories. That loss against Everton was just not expected at all. And I think they've got quite a few injury problems in the centre of midfield. Kamara is out.
Yes, I saw that. Did his ACL, didn't he?
Yeah, and Onana out as well at the moment. And McGinn got taken off against Everton as well. So you might see, I'm picking Villa as a potential club now to, go through a bit of a rough patch. So that's the only reason I'm thinking, is because, Rodgers been overperforming his XG, and I think it's now going to balance out a little bit. Hopefully it does nothing. I'm gonna bench him against Newcastle, obviously, and hope that he does absolutely nothing. So that's the only reason I say is they look a bit shattered as well. Villa, it's that horrible part of the season where games are every 3 days, and I think the quality of football is really suffering, which is why we're seeing low scores for fantasy across the board. So. Once you get out of the January madness, I think you'll see teams settle. But at the moment, everyone's just running on fumes.
Yeah, such a good point. I think the only thing that's on Rodgers' side, anything good coming from Villa, is going to come from him. And that's the thing. I think when they score, majority of the time, he either scores or he gets an assist. You know what I mean? So I think, for that sake, but I'd completely agree with what you're saying. Without the midfield and the security they've had for the last sort of 3 or 4 months, it'll be interesting to see who they actually start to bring in, because even the likes of Harvey Elliott hasn't even got a run at all, is he? No. But they actually might be calling on him now, because who actually have they got to sort of? I know they've got Tielemans still, who's been a massive factor this year. But it will be really, really interesting to see. And I think Emi Martinez looks very shaky at the moment in goal, which is not ideal.
Poor form, yeah.
All right, moving on. We'll just gloss over Declan Rice, as we spoke about him on the pod last week. But I just put here 7.4 mil. The switch from Saka to Rice, I think, is definitely worth the saving of nearly 3 million now. I think that was hammered home this weekend by Saka starting on the bench. I know he started tonight against in Inter, but I think if he's not consistently starting in the Prem at 10.2 or 10.3 mil, you can't have him in your team over Rice, realistically, can you?
Exactly, and I think he's managing an injury, isn't he? That's why they're benching him. That's why he's coming off the bench. They're managing his minutes a little bit. So yeah, absolutely. Rice to Saka is a no-brainer at this point.
Absolutely, and we'll just touch on Enzo before I go into a few little left field picks. But so Chelsea's fixtures take an incredible turn from game week 24 with West Ham at home, Wolves away, Leeds at home, Burnley away in the space of 4 fixtures. So I
Very
think if
tasty.
you're amazing, aren't they? If you're looking at
Yeah.
midfielders, I think Enzo's definitely the most consistent point scorer of Chelsea's midfield. He's got 27 points in his last 4 games with 2 goals and assists, 6.5 mil, 12% owned. I think if you're not going for Palmer, like, he really is a no-brainer for those fixtures.
No.
If you're not going for Palmer, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why I got him in. Got him in the wild card. That fixture run's great. I'm hoping for a bit of a manager bounce under the new lad, and I'm hoping Enzo's going to be playing further forward. I don't know about Palmer. We can talk about him in a second, but I don't know whether he's injured. I don't know whether he can manage 90 minutes. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, steering clear of Palmer and just sticking with Enzo for the moment. Might even double up on Chelsea midfield. Looking at that fixture, like Garnacho and Neto, I think might be solid options.
I like both of them. I really like Garnacho. Like, I think if he should, and Neto is a good pick as well. But I do think you've got to get. I'm going to keep Sanchez in goal, but I'm looking at getting either Enzo or Palmer, either another midfielder or Chalobah. Like, just jumping on Chelsea.
For this little run.
It has to be done. I think. Like, I'm really glad I've stuck with Sanchez. I know he had a bit of a blip, but it was a lucky 11 points if you actually watched the game. Like, how Brentford did not score, it was ridiculous. But just to finish this little section, I just put 2 more midfielders in here. So I actually put in here Marcus Tavernier, but he was just on my radar because Bournemouth's fixtures do take a nice turn after this game week against Liverpool, but he actually came off with a hamstring injury against Bournemouth, and he actually has a red flag now on FPL with a 25% chance of playing. The only reason I was interested in him is that he is on penalties. If you saw last night, scored a penalty against Brighton. Actually, he's been starting. Let me just look at his minutes. So he has played pretty much 90 since game week 15. Yeah, and he only played 70 against Brighton because he came off with an injury. Interesting. Would have been a really left field pick. So he's 2.6% owned, 5.5 mil, but I'd steer well clear now until we know the extent of that hamstring injury. But the last one, just to finish the list. Go on, mate.
Just going to say about Bournemouth, I think, Semenyo's obviously gone. Cliver, I think, just underwent surgery. So it might be time for your old matey Brooks, Siege. Now that's having
maybe.
Oh, David Brooks, or the other one is Junior Krupi, right? They'll both be getting a lot of minutes now.
Yeah, I think Krupi definitely will. Like, he, in terms of a third striker, like he's going to have to play, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think. I'd stay well clear, but I think if you want that, if you're not going to have a Mark Yu for that third striker, I think Krupi's definitely a good shout. Yeah. How much is he actually? Let me just look. He is only 4.6 mil. Do you know what I mean? So he's so a really cheap. Really good third striker.
I think.
Great shout. So, yeah. Last little one is Enzo Lefebvre for Sunderland. So they have had, well, they've been very consistent all year, haven't they? And I think Lefebvre is just starting to come into his own a little bit in terms of point scoring in FPL, but he's 1.1% owned, 4.9 million. So very much a budget midfielder, huge differential, but he's played 90 minutes in Sunderland's last 8 Prem games. He's got 1 goal, 1 assist in his last 3. His underlying stats are very good. So his XGI against Brentford when he blanked, which was last game week, was 1.06. And he's a little dark horse for DEFCON as well. So his last 4 games, he got 7, 8, 11 and 12. So reached the threshold once, but wasn't too far away. And it wouldn't be necessarily to bring in for a wild card, but maybe a little 2-week punt because they have West Ham away and then Burnley at home in the next 2. But after that, have Arsenal away and then Liverpool at home. But he did really well. He got his goal, didn't he, against Palace at the weekend. But what do you think? It hasn't really been spoken about at all, any Sunderland midfielders. But He just came into my mind, and I saw a few people talking about him. But what do you think?
The only thing I'm going to say about that XG against Brentford 1.06, didn't he take a pen and miss it? Was that why his
Potentially,
XG is
yeah.
so high? Pretty sure I'm pretty sure he tried a Panenka and it didn't go well. So
if he's on pens as well,
he's on pens as well.
potentially.
I suppose it's between, if you're going to go for a Sunderland mid, it's between him and Xhaka, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know how Xhaka's probably at least $500,000 more expensive. So yeah, it's not a bad shout. I just try and avoid Sunderland players as much as possible, even though they are having an incredible season. Fair play to them. I just
pure loyalty,
yeah.
So true. But yeah, just to finish off, let's talk about Palmer. So
yeah,
don't know what's going on, but he did get a 9-point haul against Brentford at the weekend. He reached the DEFCON threshold and obviously scored a pen. But if you actually look at the stats behind the performance, it's really interesting. So he actually only had an XGI, so expected goal involvement, of 0.05 besides the penalty at home to Brentford at the weekend. So he only had one speculative shot off target and a very small assist threat, despite playing 90. So it wasn't the easiest fixture against Brentford, but will he even be playing these easy games in the Prem? Will he be rested and used more in the Champions League? Like, when he scored on Saturday, he looked so pissed off. He didn't even do his celebration. I really don't know. I don't know what is going on. I want to bring him in so bad. I've made the money. I didn't bring him in this week because I wanted to keep Ekatike. I'm now going to change Ekatike for Thiago. So I've actually got the exact money to bring him in, but I don't know what to do. Like,
it's strange, isn't it? It's really strange. He's played 90 minutes, which is a good sign. But then there was a clip I think I've seen a clip going around online of him sort of like holding his groin or his hamstring at the end and not looking too pleased. So I think he's got like a chronic groin problem. From what I'm seeing online, it's not even something that surgery can necessarily fix. It may be that he's holding out until the World Cup and then he's going to have surgery to try and fix it afterwards. But it's just for that for that amount of money, 10.4 mil, and not being guaranteed to play, in that fixture list that you've got, the run that Chelsea have. I'm just going to avoid him because I just really don't know what's going on with him.
I just looked at his minute. His minutes are so inconsistent. So since he's come back in game week 14, he's played 29, 57, 57, 79, 71, 62, 90 against City in game week 20, 74 against Fulham, and then he played 90 again against Brentford this game week. It's interesting. Those two games he did play 90, his XG is considerably higher, but it's just like you said, for his price, 10.4, with that inconsistency, like, I want to do it, but I just, logically, you can't do it, can you? I don't think. With people like Enzo as well.
Yeah. If you're looking for a differential, the 12.1% owned is really, really good for Palmer. You could go for him, and it's just a minutes risk. I like when I'm picking players for fantasy, I just want them to complete 90 minutes because that's the best chance of scoring points. So the fact that we don't know what's going on with him and his fitness, I'm staying away for now, but I can see why people are tempted for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I just looked here, he's only scored 45 points all season.
Yeah.
It's a horrible, and actually I feel, do you know what I mean? He just does not look himself. And I think that's definitely something. I think the eye test is important as well with players like Palmer.
Yeah.
I think it's obviously not right off the pitch and on the pitch because he's nowhere near as influential as he was last year, which I think is huge because I don't think you can just get him in now with those fixtures. It's definitely not as straightforward as that. But yeah, really, really interesting one. But yeah, that brings us to an end, mate. Really enjoyed that.
Nicely done, mate.
Like we said before, this is gonna hopefully be a episode for the foreseeable future. So released on a Tuesday or Wednesday. It will either be me and Ben or me and Butler or Ben and Butler. So two of us probably, but just as a fantasy segment alone, just for you fantasy nerds out there. I know, and the lads in our league love the fantasy chat, but I really enjoyed that, man.
Yeah, nice one, and definitely a headache for the midfield over the coming weeks, especially with Haaland no longer a guarantee of points. It's like, what do you do with that? What do you do with that to maximise the points? But plenty of food for thought there.
Absolutely. Right, so we'll end it there, and we will see everyone again for our normal ep on a Friday.
That's it. We round up the week. All right. Cheers, mate. May the fantasy gods.
Cheers, mate. Well done.
And Butler. Unlucky Butler. Woo-hoo.
It's the Sunny and Schar Fantasy League.
And even though Son has left for the MLS,
our head-to-head league is still the best. Hosted by
Alex,
Ben,
CJ,
ABC.
Easy as 1, 2, 3.
It's another fantasy podcast.
Oh, fuck me.